Now, Mexicans are voting in elections which are expected to give the country their first female president. The two leading candidates to replace outgoing President Andrés Manuel López Obrador are both women. Voters began queuing up at daybreak to cast their ballots. More than 20,000 congressional and local positions are also up for grabs. Nearly 100 million Mexicans are registered to take part. Now, the elections have been marred by violence involving drug cartels, with at least 37 candidates murdered during the campaign. Let's cross over now to Mexico City and DW correspondent Nicole Rees. Nicole, the lead-up, as we've heard, to this election has been bloody. Dozens of political candidates have been killed. How is that impacting Election Day?
This indeed has been the bloodiest election campaign in Mexico's history. And there were also hundreds of attacks on politicians in the run-up to these elections. So obviously, violence and insecurity play a role today. There are tens of thousands of police forces across the country who are trying to make sure that things at the ballots go smoothly. That said, in two municipalities in the south of the country, elections have been suspended already because of security issues. But in these past days, when I talk to people here in Mexico City, I feel that there is two things that is really on their minds. On the one hand, people really want continuity in the country, and this in terms of economic stability and social welfare. There are people I've talked to who say that this is important for them in the election, and that's why they probably will vote for the Morena party, who is currently still in charge now. And on the other hand, there is this really urgent matter of security and violence. Many have told me that they fear to go out on the streets because they worry that things could go sour, that things could happen to them because of the drastic instability in that field that has been rising in the past few years, and that the government hasn't been able to tackle, especially because of the rise of organized crime. And that also has a major impact on politicians here, on politics. So it's a very huge issue for people. Nevertheless, economic stability is also one of the things that voters want to see from the next government and want to have in continuity.
Now, Mexico's next president will most likely be a woman. How significant is that in a country with a strong machismo culture?
It is historic because if a woman actually gets to be president, this also means it will end centuries of male domination in Mexico's most important office. This gives many Mexican women, of course, a sense of hope, a sense of confidence as well, that things like these are possible in a country like Mexico, where more or less 10 women get murdered every day. But this already said, this is also one of the huge problems. Many women here are not very confident that a female president will actually change much, because either somebody like Claudia Sheinbaum could just continue the agenda of somebody like López Obrador. In recent years, the topic of gender violence hasn't gotten better. She proposes to strengthen justice systems and help women, but in a country where many of these systems are also infiltrated by organized crimes, this will be a major task. And then there's also Xochitl Galvez, who promises that she also will support women more as a female leader, of course. She also has pledged to build a high security prison. But the question is if she will actually, in the end, really get there, how fast this is and what this will mean for women in the country. We can only guess at this time, but the confidence of a women president is already there. Women feel that this is very important. On the other hand, there is this doubt that it actually will mean a really big difference for them in the next few years.
That was Nicole Rees in Mexico City. Thank you very much, Nicole.
Tackling violence has been a key campaign issue. Some domestic abuse survivors hope that having a female at the helm will bring about change. But others say deep-rooted corruption makes such reforms impossible. A warning: this report contains images of domestic violence.
It isn't easy to look at these photos. They show Itzel Valderrama after her boyfriend violently attacked her last April in Mexico City. You thought you would die, right?
Yes. I couldn't breathe anymore, and I was trying to find something to hit him in the head so he would let go.
A friend saved her life. Ichel Valderrama's former partner was taken into preventive detention at first, but then a judge decided that since there was no violence in the relationship before, the man could be released as investigations continue.
I'm not only angry, sad and disappointed in my ex-partner who was supposed to love me and care for me. I'm also angry about the justice system, which protects him, and not me.
Mexico's next president will most likely be a woman for the first time. Frontrunner Claudia Sheinbaum, the candidate of the outgoing president's party, wants to strengthen institutions and partnerships to tackle violence against women.
I believe that the proposals regarding gender violence and security do not represent a real change for women, given the strong degree of violence that we, women specifically, experience in Mexico.
As the country holds its presidential and regional elections, impunity for crimes is still above 90%. Jorge Verastegui became a lawyer after his brother and his nephew were disappeared 15 years ago. They are two of over 100,000 missing people in the country, the cruel legacy of organized crime that successive governments have wildly failed to root out. Verastegui says it's because of corruption and the involvement of the authorities. The lawyer believes that there is a pact of impunity that can even weaken the power of a president, and government attempts to tackle the issue.
The outlook remains very discouraging because those who aspire to become president have to protect their political allies. And justice seems to me to be something that has never been very profitable in elections. Nobody is betting on this politically because they know that it is something they will not be able to achieve.
He started an online campaign to encourage voters to put the name of a disappeared person on the ballot if they don't know who to vote for. It's to raise attention to make sure the disappeared won't be forgotten. Thanks to social reforms, the outgoing president López Obrador scores high approval ratings, which could help his party's candidate Sheinbaum win. Violence and insecurity remain the #1 worry of Mexicans, according to security expert Susana Camacho.
There is a lot of emphasis on solving or responding to the violence we are suffering, but I think it is necessary to be more specific about it.
Presidential candidates have pledged to tackle Mexico's security crisis and to protect women, but voters like Ichel Valderrama will never feel safe again, not even with a woman as president.